Welcome to the Range Podcast. I'm Ricky Brule, and with me is Jake Hollywood Iverson. Join us at the archery range, where we'll tell stories from the hunt, discuss technical bow shooting tactics and gear, and pick the brains of some of the most successful people to ever shoot a bow. Whether you're about to shoot that X for the win or send an arrow at a trophy buck, this podcast is for you. The Range Podcast is brought to you by Vapor Trail Archery, makers of the best bowstrings money can buy, originators of limb-driven arrow rest technology, and innovators of Stokerized stabilizer systems. Welcome to The Range, everybody. I'm your host, Ricky Brule, and I'm here with my co-host, Mr. Jake Hollywood Iverson. How's it going, man?
It's good.
Yeah.
Back again. I'm just going to keep saying it until I'm gone again.
At least this time you didn't just get off of plowing.
Yeah, true. Yeah.
So you're awake, you've got energy, maybe?
For the most part. My watch said I had bad sleep last night. I agree, but whatever.
Yeah.
We're here.
Yeah.
We're good.
Yeah, I didn't have real good sleep last night either. So Prime launched our film yesterday.
Yeah, that's what kept me up.
Yeah. Oh, no, it's not. Maybe. I don't know. Thanks for saying that if it did. No, I'm just kidding. But so the thing is it launched at 4 p.m. our time, Central Time, and I had to work Smokies at 4 o'clock. And so I'm like, oh, okay, well, whatever. It's usually kind of slow. I just got to get a few things going. And then I like take a look to see how it's doing. I would make sure everything launched okay. I scheduled a post for Vapor Trail, did all this stuff.
Yep.
And they had switched out the internet modem there that morning, and they were having issues. They got like the wrong modem or something like that, so there was no Wi-Fi in the building. And then I don't know, it's kind of out in the boonies.
I was gonna say, you're in the middle of nowhere.
So I get no cell service really in the building. So I'm just sitting there like I'm completely blind. I'm cut off from the social media world completely. I have no idea what's going on. I have no idea if anything posted properly. All I could tell was I was getting notifications on Instagram from people. Oh. But it doesn't, like the way that I have my phone set up is it just gives me a notification, doesn't tell me what the content is. So it's just like somebody liked this video, somebody liked that video.
So you're thinking it could be like old. You don't even know.
Could be anything because I get notifications across the Range Podcast, Vapor Trail, Stokerized, Don't Die Rusty, personal, the Pro Shop, all of those. So I'm like getting all these notifications. I have no idea what they're for or what's going on. So
you didn't take like a 10-minute, like, hey guys, give me like 10 minutes. Can I run and check?
No, dude, there's none of that. There's none of that. If I walk out for 10 minutes and a table sits, I lose it.
Lame.
Yeah, and I'm there to make money. I'm there to make money because I need cash for tags.
Yeah, that's true.
Right? So we talked about this in the last episode. We all got side hustles so we can pay for hunting licenses and stuff.
That's right.
So
and student loans.
Yeah. I mean, to my wife, it's money for the family, but inherently that money ends up in some roundabout way going towards hunting gear. I mean, it's just kind of the way it works, I guess.
A tag.
Yeah. Yeah. So anyway, well, welcome to the range, everybody. Thanks for being here. You can find the video version of this episode on the Vapor Trail YouTube channel. So make sure you head on over, give us a like, subscribe, and hit that bell so you can be up to date on all things archery. Forgot how to say the word.
It's okay. It's archery.
Yeah. And of course, if you're listening, make sure you give us a rating and a review. Only 5 stars will do. And also another shameless plug for the film Form the Storm on Prime's Vapor Trail. Cut. Also, shameless plug for the film Form the Storm. You can find it on Prime's YouTube channel, and it's doing pretty well. It's taken off. A lot of people really like it, and so please head on over there and check that out if you get a chance. And so today we have a guest. We have Vapor Trail's own social media coordinator, Gracie Long, and she is here remotely from Franklin, correct?
Correct.
Down there in Franklin, Tennessee. And she also works for a pro shop down there called the Archery Den, right?
Yep.
And so she's been kind of cutting her teeth on learning how to tune bows and working with customers. And so that's been really, really great, especially for our presence because it just helps a ton. She's been doing a great job of coordinating our posts and all that kind of stuff. We provide the assets, she schedules out the content. And so that's been going really well. And so, Gracie, why don't you give all of our listeners just a quick introduction and just tell them all about yourself.
Yeah, well, did such a good job. I was making a joke earlier that you guys couldn't get Joe Rogan, so y'all just went with the next best thing.
Yep,
That's right.
that's right. Yeah, yeah, we appreciate it. Joe, whatever.
Yeah.
I could
Probably turn him down anyways.
Yeah, I'm Gracie. I'm the social media coordinator. I haven't been doing a fantastic job recently. I've been a little busy at, like we said, the pro shop down here. I am an Auburn graduate, so if anybody's listening, I went to Auburn, War Eagle. I graduated there 2 years ago and then went out west and worked on a ranch for 2 different seasons and that's when I got connected with Ricky out there and started my little role at Vapor Trail, doing what I could. So yeah, now I'm home looking for something a little more full-time, but working at the pro shop in the meantime and trying to learn where I can.
Yeah, that's great.
I was gonna say, what was your degree in exactly at Auburn?
I was a marketing major, so that's what I got my degree in. Started out the pre-vet track and quickly figured out after a couple difficult chemistry classes that I wasn't cut out for it.
Yeah, if it's not the science classes, it's gonna be the disgusting thing of dealing with cattle and the nasty parts that they have.
Yeah.
Man, I've seen some of those videos. I'm like, God be with you, because there ain't no way for me.
Yeah.
No way.
I figured out pretty quickly when I had to go to all the different animals. Said I want to do horses, but they said you still got to learn all the rest of them. But yeah, so ended up in marketing, and then I went and worked on a ranch and didn't use it at all. And now I like to think I'm using it some with Vapor Trail and just some of the other experiences that I've had, but still trying to figure out exactly where I want to take that. Yeah.
Cool. And I don't want to leave Stokerized out of the mix either.
Yes,
you're also filling in that role as well, which is great. And speaking of, part of the reason, or I guess I want to talk a little bit more about how we got acquainted and how you started working for us. And so before you came along, it was difficult for me to stay on top of all the social media channels and all the content and everything. And so last year we made a pivot and we brought you in, we brought Damon in. So one day I was scrolling through all of our tag stuff. I was way behind. I hadn't seen in there. So I'm going through and I'm like months behind and I'm looking at posts that people tagged us in and I'm liking them, and, kind of feeling bad, right? Because, people put themselves out there and they tag us and stuff. And then it's like, oh, hey, good job. Like 2 months after the hunting season,
Yeah.
But I had seen you had tagged us in a photo. You had shot a buck with your bow. And I just love that because it's hard to do. It's really hard to do. It's a big accomplishment in my mind. Anything, whether it's a buck or doe or anything. And so I had sent you a message and I was like, hey, so sorry it took so long. And, great job. Awesome to see. And then I'm scrolling through and then I see a second one. I was like, holy, you got 2 in one season, right?
I did.
Yeah. So I was just like, holy, she's getting at it, And so again, like, hey, awesome job. Way to go. And then, so you sent me a message back and you're just like, hey, it's just wondering, I'm in marketing and wondering if if you ever need any help or if you need some assistance. And it just so happened
She
that
saw right through it.
I was, right. Exactly.
She's like, I know marketing. This dude's way behind.
He's so far behind. He probably needs some help. And so it worked out perfect. And the only other thing is like it took a little while to kind of get rolling, just because we had to get all of at that point we had a lot of assets that Damon had already been creating for us, but they weren't organized in any real way. And so again, just kind of trying to get you familiarized with the products and and when to post and how to post and all that kind of stuff. And we were just kind of throwing stuff at the wall to see what sticks. And you just did a great job. It got to a point where we get to our busy season, and you were able to just kind of take the reins and just go. And that was really nice, just being able to not have to micromanage and do all that kind of stuff. And I know you've got other things going on too, so I can't really hold you to the, I don't know what the word would be, but I mean, I think you made mention about how you're not doing a very good job, and I disagree. You're doing a great job. Anything and everything you do for us is greatly appreciated, because it's more than what I can do.
It's more than what Joe Rogan does. So.
No need, Joe Rogan, if you want to the podcast.
Yeah. So, and you've been great. And then, I think, was it last summer you moved up to Montana?
I did, yeah.
For a bit. And so you kind of been back and forth and all that kind of stuff. So it's been, but we really appreciate it. And so for anybody who's seeing the content that's getting posted, for the most part, Gracie's doing a majority of it. And we hope that you can continue to do that for us for a while here yet. But I know you are trying to look for something a little bit more serious as well. So if there's anybody out there who's looking for anybody in marketing, Gracie would be great to have on your side, for sure.
Appreciate that. Yeah, I tell people all the time when they ask me how I got set up with Vapor Trail, I'm like, yeah, well, I kind of slid into the DMs. They're like, what are you talking about? And then I tell them the story that you guys had reached out when y'all saw my posts, and I was shooting, I think, the Pro V at the time, and were asking me what product I was using, and then I was in a place where I was really just trying to get connected and knew I wanted to be in the outdoor world and scene. And so I remember, reaching out, and I'll never forget, you said, Gracie, like, ask and the good Lord shall provide. We're actually looking for somebody to help with our social media. So that was a cool thing. And I've loved it since. It's been very enlightening for me, just in the time that I am able to spend doing it, that it's shown me kind of the path and the direction that I wanted to go with my marketing, and that I really like learning about all the Vapor Trail and the Stokerized stuff and being more of a product expert, which I'm still working on, but like to commit my time to something that I'm already passionate about, which is archery. And so that's been really cool for y'all to give me that opportunity. So thank you.
Yeah, and it's been good too, because from the very beginning, I don't have a marketing degree, you do, and so I'm like, I have a lot to learn in this experience as well, and so that's been really helpful and really beneficial for me. So I just want to pivot a little bit and have you tell us a little bit about like your first bow and like your bow hunting origin story, like what got you into it and what got you to this point.
Yeah, so I grew up around hunting. My dad is a hunter. I wouldn't say a huge one. I mean, he's gone since I was little. We've had a hunting lease down in South Georgia that he goes to with a bunch of his high school and college buddies that they all are at down there. And so growing up, I was all into horses. I did rodeos, and I wasn't sporty, but that was my thing, was horses. And so I never really got into it because it was always like 6.5 hours away, and I was just a little girl, and he wasn't going to take me down there to be with a bunch of old men, messing around for the weekend. And so it wasn't until probably, I think, right after my freshman year of college, I'm a little later to the game, that I started, since I was down in Auburn, we were only 3.5 hours from the hunt club, and I started going over there on the weekends. I don't even remember what got me out there the first time, but I loved it, and I didn't have my horse down there or anything, so I needed another outlet, I guess, and I loved the outdoors, quickly figured out that I loved being there, so I got into rifle hunting and was just deer hunting down there. I think for the first season or two, I didn't shoot anything, shot clean over a doe, because one of the first times my dad sent me in a stand by myself, I went up a ladder stand and the shooting rail was behind me, and I didn't know that you could pull it down in front of you, so my dummy, like, I'm holding the rifle up and just shaking like And so I shot clean over a doe. But still loved it and wanted to keep pursuing it. And it wasn't until I think my junior year of college that a old friend introduced me to bow hunting. And he had a friend that had a bow that he sold me for like $250 or $300. And we had practiced. And he was like, "You're actually pretty good at this." And I said, "Thank you. I don't really have hand-eye coordination." So I am, thanks. I'm glad that I'm good at something. And started practicing more and more and got that bow. And it was an old Mission Craze. It was a great bow. That was the $2 that I got when I originally started with Vapor Trail was with that bow. And I loved it. When I went out west the first time, after I graduated senior year, I'd just been shooting with a Whisper Biscuit. And when I went to Flaming Arrow Archery in Kalispell, Montana,
Nicole,
she's great. Sweet Nicole, she set me up. I said, "I want something I can upgrade. What should I go to?" And she said, "I think you would like this slim driven arrow rest by Vapor Trail." So she set me up with the Pro V. And I haven't looked back. I started shooting that, and that was great. And then I guess this past summer, my second season out west is when, through the help of you guys, I was able to upgrade my bow and got the lift.
Yeah.
And put the GI8X on it. And yeah, I've had the lift for assault since like August, and then I don't even know if I told you, Ricky, that I just working at the archery den, I decided when I got new strings from Vapor Trail, I was going to put them on my lift, and then we had a lift X in and I didn't realize, I said, Logan, I think, which is the owner of the archery den, said, "I think that I want to switch over to the X." He said, "You might want to check because you just got those new strings and make sure the specs and everything are the same." And I did. And I said, "Yep, everything's the exact same. String length, cables, everything." So I ended up just switching over to the Lift X, which is what I'm now shooting.
Yeah.
Sweet.
Yeah, I saw that. I saw your post when it was like new bow calls for new strings. So
yeah.
Yeah.
No, new strings called for a new bow. That's
right. Yeah, right. That's what ended up happening for sure.
Yeah. So that's what I haven't hunted with it yet, or even really sighted it in. We've just been taking it slow. They're trying to teach me a bunch of the tech stuff, and so they're having me do it all on my own bow, which is, dragging out the process a little bit.
That's the right way to do it.
Absolutely. So yeah, that's kind of where I'm at with my setup.
That's really cool. Mission Craze.
Yeah, I mean, we sell lots of sets of those every year.
Very
popular. Very popular set.
It was a great bow.
That Lift X, that's where, I definitely agree with, good old Josh Jones with if there's more tunability in a bow, I just get jazzed over it, whether it's a Lift X or a bear or whatever. Like, being able to move those limbs like they have now, it's so nice. Like, even my buddy that, shooting he wants the midget bow. I told him, I'm like, I don't know if I'd get a regular lift. I would just go and get the X. Like, I know the regular lift is probably going to be easier to buy, just it's cheaper, but that tuning is so nice. Like, once you get into it, it's real nice being able to just move that over and be done.
Yeah.
It's so much easier.
Yeah. For sure. So tell us the story of, you could tell us the story of both of those bucks that you got, or one of them.
Yeah.
But I always like to get a good hunting story in somewhere.
So my first buck, I got lucky enough so my first season bow hunting by myself was 3 years ago, and we are blessed enough to live on some land kind of in the suburbs of Nashville, and so we have like 22 acres, and that was also one of the things that got me into bow hunting was I can't shoot a rifle where I'm at. It just wouldn't be safe. So I started, that was one of the draws of bow hunting too, and just the extended season and everything. And so in Tennessee, you have 2 buck tags with your license, and I had seen some monster bucks on our property because there's just not a lot of pressure around us. And my first season, I shoulder shot one, and I cried about it because I had never just injured one, and never, like, there wasn't a drop of blood. I saw him again like 3 hours later chasing a doe, and so I knew he was fine, but I just felt horrible. And so I kind of took a step back, and I had a family friend that lives about 5 or 6 minutes away, still kind of in the suburbs, and they don't hunt at all. And so I started putting some cameras up at their property, and that was kind of towards the end of the season. We were getting December, January of 2022, I want to say, or 2023. I can't even keep track at this point, but yeah, 2022. Started putting some cameras up, and they have a little bit more land. It actually, my dad used to lease some of it way back when I was in like 3rd grade, and he just said, Gracie, like, those are some of the biggest deer I've ever seen, because it's kind of surrounded by neighborhood once again. And so that lease ended up, the guy sold it and subdivided a bunch of it, and then my family friends were lucky enough to buy like 40 or 50 acres back there. And so it's really funneled a lot of these deer very conveniently onto their property because they've got lots of houses and stuff around them. And I'm all for, like, wherever you can hunt, do it. Like, if you can get access, or, I mean, why would I not hunt 5 minutes from my house just because it's, you know, surrounded by some neighborhoods? And so I started putting cameras up there, started getting some really cool pictures, and this is where some of my friends give me a hard time. I started naming some of these deer. And there was one in particular that I named Paddles because he had some really palmated antlers. And he was just really cool looking. He was weird, non-typical, like. And he was probably only 2.5, but he was just really cool looking. And so I had pictures of him, and I knew that next season he was kind of going to be one that I was hoping would come back around. And I've got too many names for some of them, but he was one that I had my eye on. And so early season, I'd gotten out there, kind of found a spot for my climber, and I'd started hunting it. And honestly, I got so lucky. I hadn't really incorporated any strategy as far as like food plots or even hunting the wind. I wasn't super great at. And the location of my stand was kind of in this bowl, so it was just kind of a toss-up. I hadn't patterned him really well. I didn't know where he was really coming from, so it was just hard. I was just kind of like, all right, I'm going to go, and the wind could be really not in my favor for today. And so early season, I had pictures of him. I was still in Montana early October, and the homeowner, he texted me a picture, or a video actually. He was down at their barn, and there's Paddles in all his glory, like out in this field, probably 150 yards from him, just prancing around, like showing off. And so I'm just like biting the bit. I mean, sad to leave Montana, but ready to get home and get out there. And I had traveled home in September, so that's when I kind of set up things. And I started hunting pretty hard in October when I got back. And then one morning I woke up. I still remember it was October 30th because I woke up that morning and I had planned to hunt. It was kind of dropping some of the temperature, and things were just heating up with pre-rut activity, and so I was going to go out, and it was raining. And I just remember I just rolled back over and went to bed. And I didn't get out there. And what do you know? Of course, I get Paddles on camera walking straight by and straight towards my climber at like 7:30, 7:45 in the morning. And I am just beating myself up about it. Like, oh, I blew it. I'm not going to see him the rest of the season. Like, that was just my one shot. And so I ended up talking myself into going that evening and for whatever reason, I just don't always love hunting evenings. I'm kind of more of a morning hunter. And, but I talked myself into going, and I got up there at like 3:30, 3:45, kind of late, honestly. And not even an hour later, I think, I hear some twigs snapping. They're like classic, something heavy, something big's coming. And I look over to my right, and there he is, just kind of wandering along, just not a care in the world, sort of scoping things out. And yeah, I still to this day don't really know how I shot him, because he was my first, and I was shaking like crazy. I was so worried I was going to shoulder shot this deer. And that was the first one. I'd also stopped myself. He had started walking, and I remember getting home, and I told my dad, I just went, meh, and he stopped, and I just let it go. And I hit him, and it was a straight pass-through shot, which I was very grateful for, to not see an arrow sticking out of his shoulder. And yeah, he took off. I got down, waited for probably 45 minutes. I'm, my own biggest critic, and even though I knew it had really good blood, we had all the right signs, I just wanted to wait it out. So yeah, we ended up tracking him, and the funny thing about that is he went up and over this ridge, and then he went across someone's driveway. And so I actually had to go up to the homeowners of that lot, and in all my camo, and luckily they were so nice about it. They wanted to help, because he actually died in their front yard, and they had a very steep hill under their house.
Oh my gosh.
I have the funniest picture of him, he just laid up against a tree and was dead in their front yard. And so I had to drag this deer out of this person's front yard, and if he had gone probably another 200 yards, if I had made a bad shot or something, he would have ended up in a pretty well-known celebrity around here, his property, and I would have had to walk up to his guardhouse and been like, "Can I come
Dave Ramsey?
here?"
Is that the local celeb?
No.
He's right down there.
Yeah, so that was a funny first one, and I was really grateful this season. After I got him processed and everything, I took that family some of the meat, and they got some breakfast sausage and steaks and stuff that I gave them, just because I was grateful that they let me go get them and drag them out. So that was kind of funny story about paddles, but I have them. I'm looking at them right now in my dad's office.
That's cool.
I'm gonna have to see a photo of that. I've never seen it. I don't know how I would, but it sounds big. Have you measured it?
I haven't measured him. He was only probably 3.5, and he's probably just at the ears or outside of it. But
any sort of palmated rack is always awesome.
Yeah.
And, they always look bigger, but that's so incredible. I was over here shaking my head. I'm like, of course she's gonna say she doesn't know the wind.
Yeah.
She just throws a stand up and gets a kill. Sure enough.
Classic. Yeah.
That's amazing.
Quite so lucky this season. I definitely learned the importance with some of those older, more mature deer, and I guess as I've started hunting it more, just them being smart. But
right.
Yeah.
Oh, she wears first light. That's good.
Yeah, that was.
Taste that, Rick. Oh,
this
that
was.
must be. Oh, sweet. Yeah, it's a nice sized deer.
Yeah.
We're totally creeping on her Instagram page, I believe. Yeah.
He hasn't. I actually haven't posted him on my outdoor one, I don't think.
Is that with the craze too?
Yeah, that's the craze with the Pro V on there.
That's awesome. FMJs, what broadhead were you using? That's
the
a heck of a
QAV
hole.
Exodus.
Oh, get that out of your mouth.
Every time I'm like QAD.
It is a good broadhead. It is a good broadhead. But
that first season that I shoulder shot one, I was shooting mechanicals. Definitely shouldn't have been shooting mechanicals.
Get rid of those.
Not pulling back enough, and so it kind of soured me to it. And then I got the Exodus, because I don't even know what shop I went into, and just ended up with those. And they haven't done me dirty since, so I haven't switched it up. But
yeah, what are you running for poundage?
The guys at the shop right before I got my X, they had taken me up to 60 pounds.
Holy
muscles.
I didn't enjoy. I have taken it back down to 55, which I sit pretty comfortably at.
That's still pretty good.
I think I would like to keep.
That's really good for a female archer. I mean, that's that's awesome to hear. You're running 50 to 55 pounds with FMJs, fixed blade, and there are dudes all over the internet. They're like, I mean, yeah, I have an 80 pounder, but you know what I'm saying. Like, everyone's got to be like, you know, you need a 600 grain arrow and 70 to 80 pounds, maybe even 100 to get through a whitetail. She's got like more kills than I do of bucks, like all stellar bucks, and she's running 50 to 55 pounds. FMJ and a fixed blade broadhead. My wife actually set Katie up with the Q80 Exodus at first, and I was like, "Hey Matt," with Grim Reaper, I'm like, "I need to get rid of these Q80s." So she's running the Hades 3-blade now.
Yeah,
got that Q80 out here.
Maybe that's what I need to try. The Grim Reapers are what I was shooting when I shouldn't have been shooting mechanical.
Yeah.
So I have not gone back. But
It's nothing against the Q80. It's just principle of, you know, it's Q80 versus Vapor Trail. But the Q80 broadhead is extremely strong. I know multiple people that shoot it, and it's given them great blood trails. You know, you can basically reuse them if you want. I mean, it's a great broadhead, but I'm just like, it feels weird because I doubt any of the Q80 guys are running R strings, R stabilizer, like, you know. So it's like,
apparently
I can do that.
Apparently you can shave with it too. I don't know if you remember some of their old full paid ads they used to have back in the day. It was like some dude shaving with it.
I'd believe it.
Yeah.
I would not do it, but
so I'm a contradiction, I guess, to the Vapor Trail.
No, you're okay.
It's just a broadhead.
Yeah. You're okay. Okay. Once you get a Q80 arrow rest on there, then we're gonna razz you.
No, you'll never catch me shooting anything else. Even if I wasn't, I'm loyal. I tell everybody that, you know, comes into the shop, whether we have them on the wall or not. Don't tell my boss, but
we're looking at the photo of the buck you got last year with your lift.
Yeah, that one was it.
Was that in Tennessee?
That was.
I can't remember.
Not the same spot, or the same property, actually. He was another one I had named that I'd seen last year he was only a 3.5-year-old buck. And I saw him last year. The crazy thing about him is I called him JJ. I had one named Little Joe, LJ, that I was after. That's probably a 5.5-year-old. And they were both 8-pointers last year. And they were almost identical. Their genetics just looked so similar, but JJ was at the ears, so I'd let him walk. And this year, he had just come back both of them came back as a 9, actually. And that was November 1st. That was a cold front had come in, and I shot him out of a ladder stand, and kind of grunted him in. That was the first one I had done that with, but he came out hot, chasing 2 other bucks that were fighting. He kind of ran them off, and so I knew he was in the mood to fight, and got him in. And then I shot him 20 minutes later. I was sitting in the stand waiting to get down, and I had seen him go down because he's my best shot so far, and he went like maybe 30 yards, and it was just perfect heart shot. My processor, he sent it to me afterwards, and like 30 minutes later, I was on the phone with my dad in the stand, and I heard a grunt, and I looked up, and the big 5.5-year-old that I had been after, he comes out at like 30 yards and was just right in front of me, and I'm just knowing that I have this other one dead on the hill over there, and I had to be a good person. I wasn't going to break the law and shoot him, but God, he wanted me to. And so I watched him, and he actually went up, and I heard the snort. They were just really feeling it that morning, and he went and beat up on JJ while he was dead on the ground over there, which was kind of crazy. Wow. It was a crazy morning. Yeah, like I said, there's a lot of deer over there, and so I've definitely experienced some things that I won't take for granted, because I can go there and see something super cool like that, and then I'm reminded when I go down to Georgia that a lot of times I don't even see a deer, so
yeah,
it's really cool. But
those deer look like they have some big bodies.
That one was, which this is embarrassing, so I did not field dress that one, and I was by myself, and I just wasn't feeling confident enough to do it on my own. So I drug him out by myself, and when
Full
I
body?
got him to the
Holy
processor, I loaded him on this like basket that I put on the back of my car. And I was covered in sweat, like dripping sweat.
Yeah.
You don't say.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He was like, "How'd you get this? Did you get this thing by yourself?"
What?
I was like, "Yeah." He said that he probably weighed 220 pounds.
Oh, I don't doubt it.
Good God.
I mean,
Dude, I drug that. What? How did I have to look and see? What did that thing weigh? It was 220 or 230. That thing was dressed for that city hunt that I was in this year, and I was dying. I can't imagine, like, the guts going, like, back and forth and sloshing. Forget it.
Yeah.
we had to, you know, when I shot Rambo, that was a city hunt, and so in that hunt we can't field dress them in the field, so we have to take them out
Right.
whole. And it took 3 of us, and we had a cart too, and it was still a struggle getting him out of there. And he wasn't really a huge body deer either. I mean, it was late, you know, it was late in the rut, and so he had no hindquarters left. They were just toast.
Yeah.
He was all, you know, beefcake up front,
Just
and
chest, yeah.
nothing for legs. But so
Right.
his weight, his weight wasn't even. I think field dressed. I think we weighed him at like only 160 pounds.
What?
And so on the hoof, I think that puts him around 220-ish or something like that. Third of the weight is in the innards, if I remember correctly, something along those lines.
I just know that one was heavy. That
Yeah,
I drug
it's-
out this fall.
But yeah,
That's
to your point,
ridiculous.
that's amazing. Yeah, I'm surprised you're not shooting an 80-pound bow if you can load a 220 buck into the back of the
Yeah.
truck.
No, that's what like got me the job at the archery den was me walking in, and I had like froze my butt off in December. I was looking for does, and I had one come out in front of me, and it was like low 20s, I think, and I just hadn't been really moving and stretching, and I was frozen, and I had a doe come out in front of me and could not pull my bow back. And so I knew, like, I was like, I can pull this back, but the like wimpy side of me was like, I'm gonna take it to the archery den and just have them, like, I'm gonna switch out the mods and have them tune it down. And I got in there, and the guy at the time, the manager, he didn't even like know me, but I came in and he said, well, I could do that, but I'm not going to because I know that you can pull this back. And I said, okay, all right, we'll keep it then. But yeah, I was being a wimp, and so I like to keep it at the 55. I'm not. He said I could pull back 60. I said, yeah, but I don't want to.
It must be like something about the first light people being able to actually like do their own work.
In Hollywood. First light.
I already told you and Damon I'm gonna be out in like flannels like you're wearing now and jeans this year.
Yeah, we're gonna
We're
start.
cutting all stereotypes out. We're just going old Forester.
Yeah,
That's why I was posting Hollywood on all the Instagrams, and so I was like, first light, that looks sick, that looks sick.
Yeah.
All Damon's pictures.
Yeah. So what you're saying is you're gonna go over to Donnie Vincent's new clothing line.
Yeah, what is he rocking? Like, does he actually have anything? Because the last video I saw him do like a pack out, and it was like, here's my wool gray cardigan that I wear, and I'm like,
Yeah.
get out of here.
Yeah, I don't know if it's anything specifically branded, but it's all wool. You
Yeah,
know what I mean?
it's
Or
all
probably
wool
some
stuff.
sort of blend, I imagine. Or I don't know specifically what he's using, but I respect it. You know,
Yeah.
I kind of try to live that life to a degree.
Maybe I'll just go out in some Shen gear now.
Yeah,
Hit
there
up
you
old
go.
Dennis Zuck. Get that going.
Yeah, man, they're doing well, huh?
Yeah, they
They're
are.
kind of coming along.
They're really doing it well.
I've been
Yeah.
told I'd have to start duck hunting now. I just won a pair of their waders on a giveaway on Instagram.
What?
Oh,
You won the Shen waders? Oh man, my buddy would be just freaking out right now.
I'm not going to get them until like the end of the summer or something. They're on pre-order only.
oh,
Yeah.
wow, jeez.
Yeah, I've duck hunted a few times, but I don't really go ever. So it's like, I guess I got to start now. So I
Yeah,
got some
duck hunting, I don't know. It can be all right, I think, down in Tennessee. What I was thinking is, like, the deer is crazy. The size of deer you have in Tennessee, generally, they're quite a bit small. Well, I'd say smaller than up here. But then, like Georgia, they're like rats down there. Like they're tiny compared to like
Yeah.
up here.
Mm.
Like, so to me, it's crazy seeing that big of a deer out of Tennessee. But there's Tennessee and Kentucky. I think they still get fairly good bodies. But like down way south, it's always so funny, like seeing people post pictures of the deer, and even like the one that Nathy shot. Like, yeah, it's big rack, but it's like, yeah, cute little body he's got. Like,
yeah, I mean, not only is it just a giant rack that makes the buck look smaller to begin with, but it's already small, so you're just like, what the heck? It's deceiving.
Yeah, when my dad lived in Dallas, he was saying like when he went hunting out there, it's just like hard for him to even justify shooting it, just because like an 8-pointer down there, he's like, this thing's tiny. Like, what the hell is like maybe 120 pounds? And then back up here, it's like most deer, I'd say on average maybe 140, 150 dress, like for a nice buck.
Yeah, most of y'all's does are probably like well over 100.
Yeah, well, I've shot, I guess, a lot of does being in the city hunt, but
yeah,
a good chunk of the does I've shot that are actually mature, 110 to 120. I've had a horse of a doe before. That was huge.
Yeah. Your old man shot like what, a 300-pound deer?
Yes. Yeah. That memory still pops up, and that was an 8-pointer too.
That thing his antlers look tiny,
dude,
because his body is so big.
It's crazy. I don't know if we've ever measured it, but that thing had to been like at least Pope and Young, so like it had to been 120s to 130, like 8-point, and then the body is just it's a cow.
It is. It's ridiculous. I was like, wait, that thing is huge.
And he got it shoulder mounted, and it still really doesn't look like, I don't know. It's like one of those deals like you wish you could almost do a full body mount and then like actually have just for the reference. Like I think it's her crock that we put next to it or on top of it. It's just tiny.
Yeah.
And I had her take a picture with it because I'm like, okay, you're small, and like now like look at this deer.
Yeah.
This deer's huge.
Yeah.
Thing's massive.
I could speculate why, but I wonder what that is. As you get further north, you know what I mean?
Fat content.
Yeah, I suppose, and even because my taxidermist, or at least taxidermist that did one of my deer, he makes his own heads because he's got like 3 different size heads for different areas, and he was like, so I got this one for Canada, and it's like the biggest one that he's got, and so for whatever reason, like you said, probably fat storage,
and
maybe
the forage that they're eating too.
Some of it's diet, yeah.
Like I think Georgia deer I think they even eat like what is it, like peaches and like pecans and stuff. Like they just eat, like maybe those little sugars don't hold up in them. I don't know.
Then you get into Texas.
In like big pine farms and stuff down in South Georgia. And like I'm looking at my dad's right now that is just, he's a monster for especially South Georgia deer, but I posted it. I think he was on TikTok or something. I was responding to somebody, and they were like, why is that deer's body so small compared to its rack? And I was like, I mean, I don't know, but like that's kind of an accurate representation of what the size body that deer probably was down there. Like it just doesn't get as cold. They're not what they're eating. They're not storing as much fat either. And so, yeah, he's got a monster, but then he's just got kind of a little body on him.
They're all sweating. They're all sweating it off. They're always fit.
Yeah. So you got any other questions, Hollywood?
Probably a million. Was kind of hoping you had a diversion here.
Well, I do, but before I
then shoot.
Divert. I'll put you on the spot just a little bit here, Gracie, and if you don't have one, I do, but what's your favorite joke?
Oh gosh. Yeah, you're putting me on the spot. I can't say that my dad would be ashamed with all of his dumb dad jokes that I get, but I don't think I have one.
This is part of the reason why I asked this question, because my dad was always really so good with jokes. Like anywhere we would go, you know what I mean? Like he always had some joke. And of course I've heard all those jokes 150 times, but some people are new to them. And this is not a joke that I heard from my dad, but I heard this one the other day, and it's not related to archery, but it's golf. So, and I'm not sure if you ever heard the one about Moses, Jesus, and the elderly man out golfing one afternoon.
Maybe.
So Moses steps up to the tee, hits the ball, starts going right for the pond, runs up to the pond, splits the waters, ball bounces off the bottom up onto the green. Jesus looks at him and says, "Great shot, Moses." Jesus steps up, hits the ball. I'm trying to think. Yes. Let me do that one more time. Jesus steps up to the tee, hits the ball, goes right for the water, sits right on the top of the water. Jesus walks out, stands there, chips the ball off the top of the water onto the green. Moses looks at him. "Great shot, Jesus." Elderly man's just standing there taking this all in, and he's just like, what the heck? So goes up, gets up to the tee, hits the ball. Worst shot he's ever had in his entire career. Ball goes like 40 yards. Big gust of wind comes in, carries the ball. Ball goes right into the pond, sinks to the bottom. Giant carp grabs it, jumps it out of the water. At the apex, a starling comes out of the woods, grabs the ball, flies it 325 yards down the fairway, drops it onto the green. Squirrel comes out of the woods, nudges it into the hole for a hole in one. Jesus looks at the elderly man and says, "Great shot, Dad."
Oh, nice.
Love that.
I couldn't say one if I thought. I really thought you were gonna go with like what we were talking about yesterday. I was like, oh boy. The Instagram guy, the reels.
The dude that does the RFK Jr. impressions.
Yeah.
Oof, yeah, those are funny.
Those are funny. Flipping hilarious.
But I can't do that impression. I can't. I don't even know how you would.
I mean, yeah, it might be a little rash. I don't think our listeners would be thrown off by that, but it's great.
Yeah.
Definitely not workplace appropriate for me to be listening to in my ears, but
well, at least not the content that he's talking about, but
not that particular video that happened to be what I listened to out of curiosity. Yeah, that was bad.
But the way he does the impression is like spot on.
Spot on.
It's like, how do you even? I mean, how much practice did that take? I just can't even imagine. So, did you think of one yet, Gracie?
All of mine are shamefully, like, probably not appropriate.
Podcast.
Any good bad dad jokes?
It's gonna be so ashamed of me that I can't. I kind of like block them out. We've heard them so many times that
right.
Yeah, I want to start telling a joke in every episode just because, and so I'm gonna start prepping our guests a little bit better. Like, have a solid joke.
Have a joke ready.
Yeah, have a good
just like a fun
now,
fact.
I'll think of one and then I'll tell it to you guys later if it'll pop into my mind.
Yeah.
Today, I'm sure.
Yeah, what was it? The fun fact thing. What was the one time? Oh, Axeman. We had Nate on, and he goes, "Yeah, I got a really fun fact for you." He was like, "What do you call a group of porcupines?"
Oh God, I don't remember though.
A prickle.
A prickle.
I was like, yes, that's amazing.
Good Lord.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think. We can keep going on jokes. I was just thinking of a follow up here, but.
Yeah, no, I just have one. That's it. I just had the one prepared. I heard it the other day, and I was like, I'm going to say that on the podcast.
So what would be next for Gracie? So you're saying full-time, it would be outdoors marketing then? Is that the dream? Outdoors marketing and hunting? Is that the...
I think marketing, sales, I've figured out with... I knew this already, just having grown up doing different businesses for myself and then going out west and working on a ranch. I can talk to people, and so customer service I'm like not bad at either, but it is pretty draining. That's something that I've also headed up, being the only girl at the pro shop, is like I get to be the smiling face that talks to people a lot of the time. And so marketing is what feel like I have most experience and knowledge in, and then both my parents were in sales or are in sales still. And so honestly, like, being some kind of rep, or I'm not like opposed to that either, but it's pretty niche industry and, like thing that I want to do. And so right now, being kind of in that entry level stage, I'm sort of just looking for anything to get my foot in the door. Not opposed to like relocating or anything like that. I'm back at home because it just made the most sense financially while I'm figuring out the next step. To not be paying rent somewhere out in Montana, but I loved it out there or anywhere that has a good outdoor space that I can, go do some of my hobbies in when I'm not working.
Yeah, that'd be cool. It's just when you said sales rep, I'm thinking there's, it is kind of a male dominated industry, but it's kind of weird. It's like all the males that do dominate the industry understand the importance of having the women in the industry, but yet there's few and far between. There are, it's kind of funny. Like I always call it like the pack that comes from Montana. You got Nicole that runs a shop. You got Judy that runs a shop, and then you got Sarah. She's with Badger Archery. So it's like all those women that run a shop. So it's kind of cool that they're doing that. But when it comes to like sales reps, unfortunately, it's like the men at the shop a lot of times know that women are important to the sport, but yet they kind of roles reverse and kind of do the sexist stuff, and it's just like, really, like that'd be cool to see Gracie out there hustling some vapor trail rests.
Yeah,
that'd be wild. It's
right in there.
Yeah, it's it seems like a fun thing, and then not only that, you get to do a little bit of traveling and all that sort of thing. Is Montana the spot? It sounds like you really like that. Or a second question, I guess, is an elk hunting area your ideal? Because elk hunting sounds fun to me too, but I guess go shoot.
It would be really cool. That was something that I regretfully did not get to do while I was out there. We had an elk preserve on our ranch, so I got to look at some cool elk, but
wow.
We didn't. And so that was, it was cool to see them up close, and got some of the, I got to hear them bugle and everything later in the season, but I was on horseback. We weren't hunting or anything, and so I'd love to do that eventually. I don't have a lot of knowledge in it, nor do I have a lot of connections of people that do to teach me. So that would be really cool. I say Montana because that's what I know, but of course I went out to Montana and I'd never been there before, so I'm not really opposed to going anywhere that I haven't been before. The draw for Nashville, Tennessee, and just the South is hunting whitetail and turkeys and all that. And down here we get 2 buck tags a year or a season, and then max 3 does per day. We can shoot 400 does a season.
Isn't that insane?
What
Jackson was telling me that.
It's wild.
Yeah, he's like, oh, it's 5 deer per day, and this part, I'm like, day? I remember we were just talking at the hotel. I'm like, you mean season? No, day. I'm like,
no, per day.
What? And he's saying it's a 5-minute drive for him to get to his house to Tracy's shop. And he's like, in that 5 minutes, I'll probably pass 20 deer.
So many deer.
I'm like, that is just wild. And they're down in Tullahoma.
Is that bow and gun, or how does that?
That's, bow and gun. So if you're starting bow season, that's why I think when we did the math, it was almost 400 deer for the whole, because bow season starts mid-October, and then it runs through, bow is open the whole season. So once muzzleloader and rifle start, you can still be hunting with a bow. And that goes until second weekend of January, I think was this year, maybe. And so, you have what is that, 2.5 months or so that you can just shoot basically as many deer as you want.
Okay, so now this has opened up a whole
your and my minds are probably racing
for
here.
me, because I'm trying to figure out what the deal is in the state of Minnesota, because we get an intensive harvest zone where you can take up to 5 deer. and everybody gets up in arms about it because I don't know if it's just because they run that intensive harvest for too many years in a row and it reduces the population too much to where they don't see them, or I don't know what the deal is, but like, I mean, I know some people that'll shoot a handful of deer every year, but I don't know a lot of people that really abuse it. That's not to say that it doesn't happen. I'm sure there are. I mean, I've got an uncle. Well, he's since passed now. He's a great uncle of mine, but for years he would just, whatever. He was like, this is how I feed my family. It's how I've done it,
shoot around the clock.
He's old school. And so it didn't matter what time of year or whether you had a tag or not. And it wasn't, they would shoot just enough deer to eat throughout the year. And then that was it. But so like down there, Gracie, what do you know people that I mean, because if you could take that many deer, it must not be an issue because people must not be abusing it, because if they were, there'd be no deer left with that kind of a quota.
No, I think it's a crazy overpopulation issue. And I just saw they posted the numbers, the deer harvest report or whatever. And I think rifle, there was like 110,000 harvest reports and like that was just, it hasn't done like anything to the numbers. I mean, there's the CWD zones, and I think that's the western part of the state more so, I wanna say, that is open like longer and stuff. But I mean, yeah, I guess they have not had issues with it affecting the population even as much as they want it to. Like and that's why they've encouraged it. And I've had conversations with people who say, we're getting less and less licenses, registrations every year, and we're like really trying to expand and like grow, because a lot of the like 50-60-year-olds that are starting to age out of it, like we just aren't seeing that in this new generation. There's not bringing the same numbers.
So you're saying registrations as in like people just aren't even buying tags.
Yeah, less hunters. I was
gonna say
the baby boomers.
It has to be just less hunters. And then what's the status of your guys' like coyote population? Is it not very large? I mean, I'm thinking maybe that's another reason.
Yeah, honestly, I don't know exactly what those numbers look like, because I mean, I shot a coyote this season out of my stand, and that was like the single one that I had seen. I hadn't had any, which, cameras don't capture everything, but I hadn't had any. But I know that like where I live, that I don't hunt really, we have lots of coyotes, and I have bobcats and stuff on camera and things like that. So I feel like our predator population's good too. It's just, I don't know.
Wow. They must have like a gene from the rabbit population or something like that. They're just popping them out left and right. My God.
Well, and so it makes me, like 20 years ago or something, there was a guy that I used to shoot with at the club, and I always just thought he was a little bit kind of crazy because he would just constantly be like, yeah, there's no deer up there because of the wolves, and wolves, there's always problems with the wolves. And I'm just sitting here thinking, I'm like, all these years and all these places I've ever been, I've never really even seen one. So but they don't have a natural predator, and they're not managed in this state. They're protected. And so when you hear stuff like that, it kind of makes me wonder a little bit more about that, especially like, because I've spent a lot of time in the boundary waters, and I've seen moose. There's not very many moose left.
No.
But I've seen moose, and I've seen their tracks, and I've seen their droppings, but I have not seen any deer tracks. I've never seen deer droppings up there. I've never seen a deer up there.
Yeah.
And so, it just kind of starts to make me wonder now about, how much truth there is to the wolf population here, and the lack of deer that it seems like we have. I know that our buck to doe ratio here is completely out of whack.
Yep.
But, because most of the people I know that are hunters are mostly rifle hunters, and it's brown, it's down type of a situation. But we're not talking about does. We're talking about if it's got a little bit of bone on its head, it's going to die.
Yeah. Yeah, there's about 1 million does to one buck. And I was gonna say the same. We're kind of up against the wolf population. I feel it's a big, like my buddies that hunt at the northern part of Minnesota. They see wolves every day, but they'll maybe see a deer, and it's just running through the camera. And like the one in particular, they have a food plot like 100 yards from their cabin, and now the deer literally just like bed around the cabin, and it's a no doe zone too. So like they're super screwed. They only can shoot a buck, and can't shoot any does, and so like they have some deer, but they see all wolves, no bucks. The does that are there are like pets.
Yeah.
Like it's bad, but yeah, I think that's just crazy. I never got a chance to ask that to anyone else, like what the predation is down there, because that's the only other thing I could think is sure, you got traffic, you got vehicle deer collisions that might affect it, exorbitant amount of hunters or predation, but that's just wild. It's like it seems like Tennessee's been kicking that for a while, and they're just fine. Like I'm just gonna have to go hunt down there, the Taylors next year, I guess.
Yeah. So let me ask you this: what are the crossbow regulations down there?
Crossbows, I think, just fall right under the archery season.
They do.
So,
okay.
Yeah.
They're all gassed.
Yes, I've never looked into it because I've never been a crossbow hunter, but I'm pretty positive that it just falls right under the same.
Proud moment right there. She's not a crossbow hunter.
Yeah.
Don't ever be. Don't change. Don't change.
How is your shop with crossbows? Is it like is it a hammer of a crossbow shop, or is it just like one of those where you see a crossbow walk in, it's like, oh god, here we go?
Yeah, that's
Someone's about to lose their thumb.
Yeah. We are tech because we've gone through some changes management and tech wise, and so we have a great one now who's learning a lot, and but he's a little newer to the game, and obviously I don't know, I'm learning. I can tie a D loop and some other things, but like I'm not working on any crossbows, and it's kind of just like a headache as soon as it walks through the doors. You're like, okay.
Most are like the world's most popular crossbow, the Raven, like great bow, but man, it's sure caused a lot of headaches because you need to have the right press. You need to get strings for it all the time, and so on and so forth. But we have a dealer down there, probably south and east of you guys, in Tullahoma, and it's kind of the same MO. It seems like everyone out in Tennessee is kind of like, another crossbow, yay. Like up here, it's like everyone just gets so flippin' giddy about it, and same with Wisconsin, and same with Texas. Oh yeah, everyone's just like as if it's a gun. They treat it, it's just, which it is.
It is, yeah. I was gonna say,
everyone gets so happy when they see a crossbow, like, oh, here's another sale, and I'm just like, God, like here's another problem waiting to happen. So
I have had guys instead that come in, and they're like, one was, I think, late 70s or something the other day, and he refused to go. He was like, I'd rather take down the poundage to like almost nothing on my bow than go buy a crossbow. He's like, I've bow hunted my whole life. Like you won't see me touching a crossbow, blah blah blah. Which to each their own. Some people have to use them, but
I love that.
Good.
I love that. Remember when Sam Soholt's uncle came in here?
Roughly.
And he was shooting a Prime. I think it was probably one that Sam had maybe sold him or handed over to him or whatever. But man, and this isn't to give him a hard time, he fully admitted, like he openly just said to me, he goes, I know I look like I got hit by a truck, but he was like, I will shoot a bow until the day that I can't draw one back. And we started talking about crossbows and stuff. He was like, absolutely not. And I'm like, we need to have that guy on the podcast, which I'm glad that made me think of that, because I'll have to try to reach out, because he said he would be interested in doing it. But I just love that. Yeah, he's probably up in his 70s too, and
I'd
like
switch to a rifle.
Never do a crossbow. So
yeah, I'd just switch back to a gun. Yeah, at that point.
I was going to ask you about that gentleman, that older gentleman that was in your shop. Was that the guy that had all the jerky?
No,
No.
Wasn't. But no, that guy, he was hilarious. he had already had a set of vapor trail strings on his bow when he walked in, and
right on.
he had dry fired it, and
Oh no.
so we aren't placing any string orders right now or anything, but so I told him, he could go online and do it himself, and I'm, of course, is advocating for vapor trail strings, and said, of course, that's what you already have, so why would you, go anywhere else? And he said, yeah, he wanted me to help him do it, because he said, I won't know what to put in, and so he literally had me, like, on our office computer, like, I was typing in the entire order, like, and he gave me his card and everything, to, like, order it.
Yeah.
And I said, okay, here's your, but when we were talking, he said that he worked for, like, a packaging company or something that packages a bunch of meat and, like, foods and such. And he said, actually, like, do you guys like jerky? And me and my coworker, Justin, were like, yeah. And he said, I've got some in my truck, like, it hasn't been opened, like, it's exotic jerky, would y'all want to try it? And Justin's like, I'm not trying any mystery meat.
Yeah, that's what I was just thinking.
Yeah, I probably
Exotic.
shouldn't. My stomach was not appreciative of me later, but I was like, yeah, sure, why not? Like, this will be kind of funny. So he brings in, and he said, all right, I've got python. What was it? It was python, turtle,
What the
shark,
hell?
and kangaroo.
A kangaroo.
And he wanted me to blind taste it, and so he had it in the bag, and he'd give it to me, and then I tasted it, and I'm gonna be honest, the turtle was the best one in my opinion.
Yeah. Wow.
But the rest, it was nasty. It all, like, my stomach was hurting later.
Really?
But
What was the? Because there was one where you're like, ooh, that one's really fishy. What was that?
shark.
That was shark.
It
Okay.
smelled awful. It was just, yeah. I showed
Sounds
it to
awful.
my friend, and they're like, you can tell that you're, like, struggling to eat meat.
I was watching you and I was just like I probably had like an obtuse look on my face while I was watching the video because I was just like, I don't know if I would.
That sounds like more Louisiana, like
Yeah.
something they would do, or like Alabama.
Yeah. He
Yeah.
said
Well-
when he comes back in with once his vapor trail strings get to him, he's going to bring his bow back in so he can put them on. And he said, the venison and the elk jerky's a lot better. I'll bring that. I'm like, well, obviously.
No
it's
kidding.
better.
Yeah.
Like, no kidding.
I
But
can't
I was
imagine.
thinking
at
like
all.
ostrich when she said exotic. I'm like,
Ostrich.
that's, I mean,
ostrich would be great.
just as bad. Kangaroo.
Mhm.
God,
Yeah, his
yeah.
favorite was the kangaroo too, but it was
what the hell? What in the South is all I can say.
Yeah. I've been to
Tennessee usually isn't that bad too.
I've been to a few wild game feeds where they'll usually have, some sort of exotic foods, and one of the ones that I thought was the most interesting was camel, and it was like pulled, like pulled camel, like a
Pork roast.
yeah, and it was good. I mean, it didn't. I mean, I probably could have. I'm sure it was seasoned up and everything like that to the point where I could have mistaken it for pork or something else. It was actually pretty good. And then I think they had like some alligator and
Alligator's amazing.
yeah, they'll always have like some sort of stew that'll have some random meat, but I can't it just camel stands out big time.
Yeah,
My
yeah.
mom
That's
was like, turtle? Where do they even get the meat jerky off of a turtle?
Yeah.
big
Yeah.
old snappers.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Those-
the snapping
Hmm.
noodles. I don't know. It was
I still haven't. What you're gonna try?
No, I just thought of a story back when I was a kid. One of my cousins, he was this was before, but I think he's gone through the military. He's gone through the Marines branch and I think the Air Force. He's just kind of a military dude, but he was like, I remember he was hanging out with us babysitting us or whatever, me and my sisters, and I remember he caught a turtle in our backyard and like cut it open and made a little soup out of it and everything.
Yeah.
And I was like, what the heck is this redneck? I mean,
I want to try that.
I grew up in the city, you know what I mean? So it was like, but now I'd totally do it, especially if I had to. But
Snapping turtle stew or soup, whatever they call it.
Mhm.
Yeah, that sounds really good right
he
now.
was like, I remember he was like eating it out of the shell,
So
his little soup,
like a little bowl.
I was like, what
that's
the
the
heck?
line for me.
Yeah.
Nope.
Yeah. But anything else? Are we good? What do you
I was
think?
gonna say, all right, y'all give us a like, thumbs up on the YouTube, Instagram, everything. I gotta go pee, so
All right. All right. Well,
if you want to do an outro,
Thank you all for joining us on the Range podcast today. Don't forget to watch this episode on the Vapor Trail YouTube channel. Give us a like, subscribe, and hit that bell so you can be up to date on all things archery. If you're listening, give us a rate and a review. Only 5 stars will do.
That's right.
Dr. Seuss up in the house.
You got it.
Yeah.
And with that, we're going to pack up our bows and arrows.
And hit the range.
Have a great day, everybody.
Peace.
All right, you can go pee now.
Sorry, dude. I'm like over here like rocking.
Vapor Trail is now offering an exclusive discount to the Range podcast listeners. Enter promo code TRP15, that's TRP15, at checkout for 15% off VTX bowstrings and Vapor Trail and Stokerized branded t-shirts, hats, and other gear.